Okay. So if you are a non-native English speaker wanting to become a highly paid copywriter, this video is for you. I apologize in advance for the eyes going up and down, but I have my phone and my computer right here. So today I'm going to cover my top 3 tips for becoming a great copywriter, even if English is not your first language. So your question might be, is it possible to become a highly paid freelance copywriter when English is not your first language, or maybe you're not 100% confident? Well, will it be more difficult than somebody who is native? Yes, absolutely. But by the end of this video, you'll understand the most critical requirements of any successful copywriter, no matter what your native language is. So if you don't know me, I'm Christine. I'm a freelance copywriter in the technology niche. But before starting my freelance business, I was in sales for 10 years. So now I'm teaching copywriters how to, leverage these sales principles to get online, get on LinkedIn, start pitching clients, and build their freelance copywriting business. Fun fact, I used to be an ESL instructor. I'm a certified instructor. I taught in language centers in Manhattan, and I was part of the adult education world. So talking about English as a second language when it comes to copywriting is exciting for me. So if you are watching live or maybe even later, tell me what country you're from, what is your native language, so I can celebrate you and give your country a shout out. Okay. I want to start today's session by reading you a quote from a non-native English speaking content creator. This quote is for you. I found it very inspirational and I hope you do too. So this woman, her name is Mia. This was her post. It is a common misunderstanding that copywriting is about writing properly. Native speakers can be horrible at it. Regardless of their impeccable command of the language, you have to be able to sell. You have to make me want to meet you, be you, argue with you, fear you, admire you, tell everyone about you. She's touching on the sales aspects and the psychology aspects of copywriting. As a non-native, I have been told no more times than I can remember, but I submitted my work to those writing challenges. I hired the editors to proofread my work. I read the books. And guess what? It wasn't the commas I missed that were the make or break factor at the end of the day. It was the style, wit, and persistence. It was the ability to understand the audience, know who they admire, what they fear, and what they think about before going to bed. And using that information to make them take the action my employers desired. So if you're good at that, you can always find someone to correct your commas. Keep your eyes on the big picture. There are more grammar Nazis in the world than true writers. Which one do you want to be? I found that super inspirational. So let's go into my tips for today. The number one tip, hi Minolta. Number one tip for today is to learn the slang and the idioms within your niche. So in copywriting, we have to write in a conversational tone to sound more natural. And we do that by incorporating slang and even breaking grammar rules. This can be hard for people like me who are English majors and learned how to write in a very academic style of writing. We have to negate everything we learned pretty much as English majors. And it can also be challenging for ESL learners because they practice very precise English grammar. So here's the issue and why idioms and slang in your specific niche are going to be super valuable to learn as an ESL speaker. So even if you are native and you grew up in the US, idioms and slang are constantly being invented and then becoming politically incorrect or becoming old-fashioned. It is constantly morphing. So you have to keep up, which is difficult to keep up, especially with something like idioms, where it is actually your memorization that will build your bank of idioms that you have in your mind. So if you can learn the idioms that are common in your specific niche, it's so much less to memorize. So what are idioms? Well, let's just talk about business idioms because they're going to come in handy for you when you're talking to clients. So number one, let's get the ball rolling. Starting off on the right foot, bringing something to the table. These are all like business idioms that could be taken for granted if English is not your first language. And the best way to learn idioms within your niche is just to have those conversations with fluent native speakers. So this is the process I use to learn idioms, and it will be super helpful for you too. Use context clues to figure out what they are, and then once they're in your brain, look them up later. This will cement the idiom in your memory. This happened to me the other day. I mean, like I'm saying, this is not just about, non-native or ESL learners. This is everyone who speaks the English language has to constantly learn idioms. So my client said to me, we're going to sunset this campaign and start a new one with the agency we're onboarding. And I didn't know in the moment what sunsetting means. I had to go look it up, and it's basically a term used in professional fields to indicate the planned cancellation or phasing out of a product, service, or policy. It's a common expression in business, technology, real estate, all of that. So, this got me thinking about all of the idioms that are in the slang that's so common within my niche, which is technology. And we always say, okay, don't talk about all the bells and whistles, just talk about the features and benefits. If you're in real estate, you could say things like, well, this real estate agent, went the extra mile, or, give me a ballpark figure. This is not just for native speakers. No matter what your language is, you have to understand the lingo within your industry. And if you are an ESL learner, search for similar idioms in your own language. So pretty much, not every time, but a lot of the time, there will be a equivalent in your native tongue to our idiom. So for Spanish, if you translate killing two birds with one stone, there's their saying is, if you translate it to English, is like kill two birds with one shot, right? So that's an easy way to memorize idioms as well, as find equivalent in your language. So like I said, slang, idioms. Okay, let's move on to tip number 2. So tip number 2 is focusing on the idea over the grammar. And this is going to be key when these clients who are looking at your portfolio are gauging whether or not they should hire you. They're going to look at, does this person understand the idea? And I actually took a direct quote from my colleague and mentor, Scott, who hires copywriters. And this was his exact words. I would need to see that they know how to organize and structure a story or argument. I'd want to see good flow in their writing, even if the grammar or word choice isn't ideal. And I need to see that they have at least a cursory understanding of the subject matter and why it's important to a specific audience, even if they might have some difficulty in articulating it because of writing it in a second language. So my takeaway from that is, instead of trying to write the perfect post and have impeccable grammar, focus on the bigger idea or the topic of the piece, because that's really what they're gauging you on. And then my final tip, number 3, is the writing automation software that I use personally. So this will help non-native English speakers as well as anybody who's trying to improve their writing. The hardest thing about copywriting is writing simply. And I'm seeing this now that I'm more in an editing role and I'm looking at the work of other copywriters. They just don't write in a very simple to understand way. We really want to write so that a 7th grader can understand what we're trying to convey. Even if you're in a niche like mine that has a lot of jargon and very technical, very complicated concepts and words. So my top 3 recommendations are Grammarly, Hemingway, and WordTune. So you've probably heard of Grammarly already. A lot of people are using it. It's an overall editing software where you basically run your entire piece through this software and it underlines what you've done wrong. They have a plagiarism checker. It's not the best. I would not rely on that for plagiarism checking. Hemingway was a game changer for me when I first started copywriting, because it actually highlights what sentences are too long. And part of making something really readable is making these short, punchy sentences. So Hemingway actually highlights which sentences are too long, too wordy. If you wrote something in past tense, in copywriting, we really should be writing in the active voice versus the passive voice. So that's a software that underlines like, hey, you're using too much passive voice here. This is one that nobody really knows about. Go and look this up. I'm only using their free version as of now, but it's called WordTune. And what WordTune does is actually it sits as a Chrome extension in your browser, and you highlight a paragraph and it actually rewords and recreates the sentence in a smoother, easier to understand way, which is so key. I mean, it's kind of scary from a writer's perspective that AI has gotten this good, artificial intelligence, and that robots really are writing well and can actually restructure our sentences for more clarity. But I love this tool when I'm just looking at a paragraph and I'm like, well, I know this is what I want to say, but it just sounds wordy, or I can't think of the word to make this go smoother. It literally rearranges your sentences, which is so cool. So check out WordTune. They have a premium option, but I'm just using their free option. The only one I'm actually paying for right now is Grammarly. So if you are a copywriter who speaks English as a second language, I want to know what the hardest part is for you. Comment or just shoot me a message and let me know. Yeah, speaking English as a second language is an obstacle. We can't deny that, right? I mean, I try to be positive, but we just have to also be realistic about things, that this is an obstacle for you. But if you choose a niche, that is your key to becoming really proficient in one area, because you can really learn all of the slang, the lingos, and the common jargon within that niche. So niching down is the number one, no matter what your native language is, you really should be choosing a niche. That is a hill that I'm willing to die on, and I know people disagree with me. I recommend that you get a proofreader for your samples, because whether you're asking somebody or a few people to edit it for free, or whether you pay a proofer, you want the samples and the things that you are showcasing to clients to be really bulletproof, right? So get a proofreader, use free editing software, and learn the common expressions within your niche. And remember that copywriting is not the same as other styles of writing. It is not journalism, and it's not an academic type of writing. Conveying ideas clearly is more important than style and grammar rules. Those are just my tips. I wanted to keep this video short today and give you 3 major ones, but I actually wrote an entire blog post where I go into detail and I give you so many other tips if you are struggling in this department, or if you're just generally wondering, how can I improve my writing? Because I'm telling you, it is not just non-native speakers that are struggling with copywriting. It is anybody can learn to improve their skills. I think I just wanted to focus on ESL learners today because I notice a lot of people from other countries are asking me for advice, and I do look at their work, and I am seeing some blatant, glaring issues in their portfolio. So please, guys, look at your portfolio and make sure that it's pretty bulletproof. While it is not about being perfect, if you are not getting callbacks, or you're not getting clients who want to work with you, or your pitches are not being answered, that could be an issue with your portfolio. And while we're on the topic of cold pitching and reaching out to your ideal clients proactively, which is exactly how I built my freelance copywriting business, and it's how I recommend that you build yours, I created a free template that actually tells you exactly what to say in your cold messages. So the worst thing is like, okay, I see that I should be reaching out to clients. I don't want to use Fiverr. I don't want to use Upwork, but I don't know what to say. And I break it down very systematically of like, hey, here's what you have to have in place before you even start messaging people. And then here's what to say, so you're not staring at a blank screen. You can structure the message this way and customize it to your ideal client. I have a question right here. Is there a difference between how clients react on activity? I'm from India. I didn't think there was a problem. Yeah, okay. So Copy Element asked, is there a differentiation between how clients react on nativity? I'm from India. I didn't think that was a problem. I've been studying English for 16 years plus. So if I understand the question correctly, you're kind of asking, okay, am I going to get judged about the fact that I am applying for US jobs and I'm in India? I have seen so many incredible Indian writers. The way they present themselves, the way they structure their LinkedIn profile, and the way that their portfolio is, it doesn't matter what country you're from. I just saw an amazing writer come up on my feed, so I went and stalked her LinkedIn profile, and she's from Jamaica. Your country of origin is not going to be this huge deciding factor for most companies because everybody is doing remote work now and there's just a lot less judgment. It's more about your portfolio, and that's what I love about freelance copywriting is that you get judged based on your ability to prove that you can do this work. So if your LinkedIn profile is set up correctly, your portfolio is set up correctly, by the time you get on these client calls, it will be so much easier and you won't have to jump through hoops to convince them to hire you because everything that you've done up until that point kind of was selling for you. So thank you for that question, Copy Element. And no, I would hope we live in a world where nobody is judging somebody's writing abilities by what country they're from. It's just, and like I said, I was an ESL instructor. I worked with so many adults from other countries that are coming here and they want to work and start their lives in this country, and there's so much insecurity out there about like accents and non-proper English, and I'm so inspired by the amount of people I see killing it despite that stuff, despite that they don't speak perfect English, despite that they have heavy accents. I mean, the people that I learn from and that I admire and that I listen to every day, I do not care about, how they sound. I care about the content. What is their message? What are they saying? So we, no matter what we look like or sound like, have the ability as writers to have our skills shine through. So please don't let that be an insecurity. So like I said, if you go to paidcopywriter.com, I have these free cold pitch templates that you can use to message clients and get on LinkedIn. And if you need any help with that, please let me know. I'm here to support you. If you're on my email list, you get free weekly tips delivered to your inbox every week, and there's some fun stuff going on in there. So thank you, everybody, and see you soon.